All right, so we are going to focus in this lesson about descriptive adjectives and indefinite pronouns. This last summer, we actually went on a trip to Europe, which was really fun. And here's a sentence that I took out of that. Roma has an amazing temple. Can you find your descriptive adjective? There's only two adjectives in this sentence, and amazing, and this is an article, so an article is not going to be a descriptive adjective. So descriptive adjective, amazing, comes before the noun temple. Amazing sits in the attributive position before and next to its noun. See, it's before and it's next to the noun, right, Paul? So what is the attributive position? Do you remember that? Yes, it means it's before the noun, but it also means it's right next to the noun. So it could be before it or it could be after it. But most of the time when we really say it's sitting in the attributive position for an actual descriptive adjective, most likely it'll probably be sitting before the noun, because most of the adjectives that come after the noun are typically what? Do you guys remember? Prepositional phrases. So most of the adjectives that come after are prepositional phrases acting as adjectives. And it's important that we understand what the attributive position is because it helps with our hyphenated words, which we don't hyphenate a ton, but if you're wondering, should this word be hyphenated, it helps you if you know that it has to sit in the attributive position to have it hyphenated. Okay? Not with all words, but with some words. The temple in Roma was amazing. Now we have the descriptive adjective, which is amazing, right? And it's sitting in the predicate adjective position. So see how do we know that this is in the predicate? We have our verb and over, right? And so this is sitting in our predicate adjective position, and it's connected with the linking verb. Oops. We have the word was. Our linking verb was. What are all of our linking verbs?
Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been.
Yes. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, and been. Those are all of our linking verbs, but they are our auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are different things. They can be helping verbs, linking verbs, and be verbs, right? Okay, we are babysitting our nephew's puppy and she wants to go to the bathroom. So anyways, we're gonna take a break and let her go potty really quick. This is connected with our linking verb. What else can you see that is a correlation between these two sentences? Can you see it? In our last lesson that we actually did together, we talked about voice. What two voices do we have? Active and passive. Active and passive. Last time we actually recorded was probably in May with one of these lessons, and here it is now in November. So it's been a long time since we actually went over active and passive. Now, if you said Roma has an amazing temple, what do we have here? Let's break things apart. What's your subject?
Rome.
Rome. What's your verb?
Has.
Has. Do you have a direct object?
Temple.
Yeah, direct object. Now, remember that active voice can be intransitive or it can be transitive. Is this working as a transitive or intransitive? It's transitive because it has a direct object, right? If it's transitive, that means this verb is transferring its action into the direct object. So now how are we going to make this passive? We're going to take the direct object from here and put it as what? The subject. So we're going to take the direct object, put it in the subject, and then we're going to take the subject here and put it in a prepositional phrase, and you're going to now have this in passive voice. And then we want to use our be verb to link these together. The temple in Roma was amazing. Now, how do we know that this is sitting in the predicate? Because was amazing, that could be a progressive tense verb, right, Paul? Sitting in the past. But can we say the amazing temple in Roma? So we know that this is an adjective sitting in this position and not as a progressive word.
Adverb or adjective?
Adjective. This is an adjective. See how we can put it in front and it's going to be describing the temple?
Yeah.
The amazing temple.
So is that
the amazing temple.
Then?
What's that?
Is that a descriptive adjective?
This is descriptive. So
It's not right next to it.
So yes, it's not sitting in the attributive position. What's this descriptive adjective sitting? It's sitting in the predicate adjective position. So see how this one is sitting in the attributive position and this one's sitting in the predicate adjective position. Yes, sweets.
So if we put amazing in between the and temple, and
that's how
then we can't fit was in.
Exactly. Then you would have to add more onto this. But how we know that this is actually an adjective, that it can go in front of here and it makes sense. The amazing temple. But it's sitting in the predicate adjective position. So we don't just have to have it sit in the attributive position. It can sit in different positions in your sentences. So it doesn't just have to sit in one position. But look at this. The temple in Roma was amazing. So is the temple receiving the action? So remember, with active voice, the subject is doing the action. With passive voice, the subject is receiving the action. See how the temple, it's receiving the amazing. See how Roma is doing the actual action. So we're thinking about making sure that you're understanding active and passive voice. You're taking the direct object, putting it in as the subject, and taking the subject and putting it in a prepositional phrase, and then you're using your be verb to make it passive. Okay, the temple in Roma was amazing. Now, for a descriptive adjective, we are going to think about the colors of the mountains. So we actually live in the mountains. So think about the colors of the mountains. We live where there's lots of deciduous trees. So deciduous means that the trees lose their leaves. When you have a deciduous tree, it has to get really cold for the leaves to change color, and then once they change color, then they fall. But we had a really, really warm fall, and so they didn't change colors. And then we had one day of cold, and then we had a big storm. And we did have colors in the mountains, but think about this as our descriptive adjectives. We had colors in the mountains. Then we felt the weather outside. So look, feelings, the weather outside. So it started to get cold. And then now look at what happens to the sound of the trees snapping. There was so much snow on our trees that they were snapping in half. It was actually pretty sad. To seeing the leaves covered in snow. Now we're seeing. And then we're to smelling the green wood chips freshly cut. So the blessing that we actually did get is that we got a lot of fresh green wood chips that Paul and I spread all over in different areas of our property to keep the weeds down. And when you have wood chips around, it actually keeps forest fires a little bit at bay. I mean, obviously we can still have forest fires, but it does help prevent them. But our whole city had snapping trees all over the place, especially up higher in the mountains. So we had lots of cleanup to do when that happened. But can you see what's happening here? What are we seeing when we're doing that? We're seeing, we're feeling, we're hearing, we're seeing again, we're smelling. What's going on here? Our descriptive adjectives are our 5 senses. What are our 5 senses? So touch, smell, taste, sight, and hear, right? Those are our main 5 senses. Now we have more, but there are main 5 senses that we really know: touch, smell, taste, sight, and hear. And it's really important that these are descriptive adjectives, go into our 5 senses. Touch is incredibly important for people and things. So when you think about that, how are you going to describe touch as descriptive? How are you think about all different ways. It provides safety, protection, and imparts compassion to each other. So we're only going to stay in the positive of touch. Smells, so my husband Richard, he has a specialty in smelling. Smells are Richard's specialty. He can smell anything. He is a super smeller, which is a blessing and a curse. But also animals have intense super smellers. So how are you going to describe smell? So when you want to describe a smell, you're going to have a descriptive adjective that digs in, and you have to go with words that describe smells, right? Now, taste. Taste is a beautiful gift from God. It gives us so much pleasure to eat yummy food. So think about all the different ways that you can have taste, how you're going to describe taste. The sour lemon. The lemon was sweetened by sugar. Things like that. How are you going to describe that certain thing? Now, sight is naming almost everything we see, naming all the colors, shapes, sizes. Now, I say everything because there's some things when we went to Europe, there's things I didn't know what they were. So when you go to different places, you're not going to know what everything is that you see. Now, hearing, I believe that hearing sends out really special vibrations out into the world. You can just be quiet and hear things. This is a way that we communicate with the world. Not just with people, but everything in the world is what we hear. And so how are you going to use your descriptive adjectives when you are hearing? Okay, so think about your 5 senses and how you're going to use descriptive adjectives. Finding or thinking of descriptive adjectives can be tricky. Why is it tricky? It's because sometimes we don't have a really big vocabulary. We can read all these words, we know what they mean, but we don't use them in our everyday speaking. So when we're writing, how are we going to get these descriptive adjectives? Have a list to help you. Have a list. So you remember our list that we have? I have lots. I have books. I have a book, actually, 2 books that have lists that help you with descriptive adjectives. Use that list. And if you need something to help you with finding something about hearing, finding something with sight, anything, any of your senses, and there's more for descriptive adjectives out there, but our main senses is where we're going to stay for this lesson. So adjectives describe nouns. Can adjectives describe verbs? No, adjectives only describe nouns. I know we've gone over that, but I think it's so important that you remember that adjectives can only describe nouns. So find the noun and see what is modifying the noun. And if it's not a good enough descriptive adjective, change the adjective. If you have a really soft, boring adjective, change it to be more descriptive, more exciting for somebody to read so that they can inhale or be able to enjoy what you're writing by doing a descriptive adjective. Using DA, so this does not count for Dumbledore's army. This counts for descriptive adjective, right? Using a descriptive adjective is similar to decorating your home. So I've just been doing a lot of that. Your home or office or etc., whatever you want. So we select things that fit well and look beautiful together, don't we? When we're decorating something, you want it to look beautiful and you want it to go well together. Well, it's the same exact thing as a descriptive adjective is. This is what we do when we are constructing a sentence. So if your descriptive adjective is not going well with your noun, if your descriptive adjective is not going well with your noun, don't use it. Find another word. So make sure that you are putting your words together properly and they fit with your noun properly. All right, so we have some sentences here with some descriptive adjectives. Remember, we talked about how important it is that you have a list of words that you don't typically speak. And so we have the jubilant children. And see how this is a word that we oftentimes don't really use, but it's a fantastic word to describe what kind of children, because oftentimes when we're just viewing it, we're just seeing it. The adventurous, jubilant children. So now we're going to talk about how we're going to use our commas. This is a comma rule. See how we have a comma in here? This is the correct way. So now we have two adjectives. This happens when you have two adjectives that are very comparable. And so that's when you would do the comma. Adventurous, jubilant children, comma. Now, you use the comma if you can switch it. Now, can we switch these two words and it sounds completely the same? The jubilant, adventurous children. Does it sound the same? It does. It doesn't matter which order for these two words, but since it doesn't matter, you have to use a comma. So that tells us they can be interchanged, they can be switched around. That is a comma rule that you need to remember. The children are precocious and stimulating. Where are the descriptive adjectives in this sentence, Paul?
Precocious.
Precocious and stimulating. So we're really focusing on having two descriptive adjectives, precocious and stimulating. Now, does it sound correct to say the children are precocious, stimulating? No, it sounds ridiculous. Precocious, stimulating, it is not correct. In what position is this in of the sentence? We have our subject, which is the children, right?
The predicate position.
It's sitting in the predicate position. We have are, then we have precocious and stimulating. This is sitting in the predicate adjective position. When it's sitting in the predicate adjective position, you typically should use, what is this? A coordinating conjunction. So if it's sitting in the predicate adjective position, you typically would use a coordinating conjunction. But when it's sitting in the attributive position before the noun, you're going to not need to use that. See how it sounds fine? The precocious, stimulating children. It sounds completely fine. But in this one, you could also say the precocious and stimulating children are blah, blah, blah. So just be careful with what you're doing. Strong, unafraid children. This is just the beginning of it. And then you would blah, blah, blah. Or do we have unafraid, strong children? For me, I feel that this is wrong. Put your adjectives in order. I think it sounds so much better to say strong, unafraid children than saying unafraid, strong children. So, does it need a comma? No, because this needs to be in order for it to sound good. So, no comma there. When it needs a comma is when it sounds great both ways. Now, right here, the children are noble and trustworthy. So see how we have this in the predicate adjective position. What are they? They are, can you put noble and trustworthy children? Then you know that this right here, these two words are sitting in the predicate adjective position. What position is this, boys? The predicate adjective position connected to a linking verb. These connect with linking verbs. The noble, trustworthy children. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, does it sound good to say the trustworthy, noble children?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, you can switch them back and forth. Do they need a comma?
Yeah.
Yes, they need a comma because it sounds fantastic both ways. The overflowing, efficient children. Does that sound a tiny bit goofy? It does. Now, depending on what goes after this, is this going to sound okay? It just depends. It sounds a tiny bit goofy. When you have something like that and you really want to have that extra word, you can maybe change it to an adverb and put an ly on there. The overflowingly efficient children. And it makes a little bit more sense. So be careful with that. Can we switch this? The efficient overflowing children. That sounds goofy completely. So be careful. This one it sounds like it could work depending on what you have here in the rest of the sentence, but this doesn't sound good at all. So this would, in my eyes, it could be wrong. Now, what do we say? Everybody has their own opinion when it comes to something like this, and you might disagree with me, and it's okay to disagree. We disagree in grammar. We have our main rules that we need to know and follow, but there are disagreements in grammar. This sentence, father is prudent and perceptive. How about father is perceptive, prudent? Does that sound good? It sounds completely ridiculous. So what do we need here? You need the coordinating conjunction.
Sorry.
What do we need? The coordinating conjunction. So we have, and what position of the sentence is this? Paul, what position of a sentence is that, sweetie? We have our subject is father. What's our verb?
Father.
Is our verb.
Is and.
And what is? Prudent and perceptive are our predicate adjectives. See, look, it's sitting in the predicate with this slanted line, and that has a dotted line, and it's saying, I am describing father. So you can see how it's going back to the subject. So look at this. Father is perceptive and prudent. Father is perceptive, prudent. Does that sound okay? No, you need that coordinating conjunction. Father is prudent, perceptive? No. So see how with the coordinating conjunction right here, you can do it either way. You could say father is perceptive and prudent, or you could say father is prudent and perceptive. I feel either way with that one with the coordinating conjunction. Now remember, what is a coordinating conjunction? Co means with, and ordinate means in order.
It's when it's connecting two words together.
Exactly. And so with that, you are connecting the two words together. They're with each other. Okay? So now the perceptive, prudent father. Now we're going to move it. This was in the predicate adjective position. Now we're going to move it into what position? In the attributive position. That means it's before the noun or right next to the noun. So now the perceptive, prudent father. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what about this? The prudent, perceptive father. Does that sound good?
Sure.
I do not think it sounds as good as if you said the perceptive, prudent father. So really listen to see which one should go in order. I would not put them in order right here. So I feel this would not need the comma. The perceptive, prudent father. No comma, because I think perceptive needs to come first without a comma. So make sure that you're following through with that. Okay, when do we use a comma?
Only if they sound good both ways.
If they sound good when you can switch them. Both ways. I do not think they sound good when you're switching them. We have prudent. You guys know what prudent means?
No.
So prudent means you're marked with wisdom. Can you think of Dad? Don't you think he has a lot of wisdom?
He's old, so yeah.
So he's marked with wisdom. I feel Richard has a lot of wisdom. He's wise in his management, and he is frugal. Dad is very frugal. I'm very frugal. I think it's very important how we manage our money and help people with our money as best that we can. Now, perceptive. It's discerning. It's being observant. It's a keenness of insight. It's an intuition. So I think perceptive should come first, and then you're describing what a prudent person. It's a perceptive, prudent person. Descriptive adjectives, another sentence.
The vivacious, high-spirited children.
Okay, so this is correct. Vivacious, I feel, goes in front of high-spirited. So that means it does not take a comma. It is sitting in the attributive position, which is next to the noun, before the noun, and so you're not needing to take what?
Comma.
comma. This goes in order. We're not taking a comma, and we don't need to say the vivacious and high-spirited children. We'll save that for it to sit in the predicate adjective position. The high-spirited, vivacious children. That's wrong. It doesn't sound correct. You need to put vivacious first. Vivacious, high-spirited children. You might think I'm wrong in that, but that's how I like it. So it's incorrect. I like it vivacious, high-spirited. Now look at this. High-spirited, vivacious with a comma. I feel that's incorrect. This is incorrect without the comma. This is incorrect with the comma. I feel it needs to be vivacious, high-spirited without a comma. Why are we not using a comma? Exactly. I do not like high-spirited to come before vivacious. I do not think it sounds good. So if we're putting it in the order that it sounds good, you do not take the comma. If it sounds good to switch them up, then you put a comma in it. This does not sound good to switch them up. The word vivacious means lively. The vivacious, the lively, high-spirited children. What does vivacious mean?
Lively.
Lively. Doesn't that sound fun if you write vivacious? It sounds happy. It sounds exciting. That's what vivacious is. The pavers are visible firm. That doesn't even sound good. It sounds completely stupid. We have two descriptive adjectives, but it's sitting in the predicate adjective position, so you're going to want to use your coordinating conjunction. The pavers are visible and firm. This is correct. So when it's sitting in the predicate adjective position, make sure that you are using the coordinating conjunction. So look what happens here if you change it up a little bit. The pavers have visible, firm sand. Now what is it doing?
It's good.
It's good because why? It is now describing sand. It is not describing pavers. These were describing pavers. Now visible and firm is describing sand. You do not need to use your coordinating conjunction because it's sitting in what position? The attributive position, because it's before the noun. It's right next to the noun. That's the noun that you're describing. So the visible, firm pavers. This is correct. I think visible needs to go first. I do not think it sounds good to say the firm, visible pavers. I think it sounds goofy, so I think this is incorrect. No comma, visible, firm needs to go first. It needs to go this way. Okay, no comma. The refrigerator is aged and unfilled. We have our descriptive adjectives sitting in the predicate adjective position, right? We have it sitting in the predicate adjective position with our coordinating conjunction, with our linking verb, and it is describing refrigerator. How are we going to put this in front of refrigerator? Do we need the coordinating conjunction?
Yes.
No, the aged, unfilled refrigerator is blah, blah, blah. So you don't need it. If it's sitting in the attributive position next to the noun it's affecting. Okay? That means it's in the front. Because if it's behind it, a prepositional phrase acting as an adjective. If it's sitting behind it, most of the time. Not always. We have many types of adjectives, you guys. Many types of adjectives. We have many types of adjectives. These right here that I'm talking about, they are descriptive adjectives. You're going to get your list together so when you are writing something, you can use the adjectives properly. But they help you understand the noun. Can an adjective help you understand a verb?
No.
No. They help you understand the noun. They need to have a subject and verb agreement. So your adjectives still need to work with your subject and verb. It helps you understand with this verb agreement. Remember, several different types. Think of our five senses. What are our five senses? Touch, see, hear,
smell,
taste, and smell. Those are our 5 sentences. So remember, that will help you with your descriptive adjectives. What is a descriptive adjective?
5 sentences.
Yeah, they really help you go out of the box to really help you understand your nouns. They have really good quality. You could say the good boy, or you could say the terrific boy. I mean, it sounds better. We are going to go into indefinite pronoun. Everything, anything, something, nothing. There's lots more, but I just started with the things. Daniel said everything with the puppy is good. So we are babysitting my nephew's puppy and she's super cute. Where's the indefinite pronoun?
Everything.
Everything is the indefinite pronoun. Indefinite pronouns replace nouns for amounts unspecified. Now think about indefinite. What does that mean to you? Indefinite means there's not a number affiliated with it. It can just go on and on and on. So it's just everything with the puppy. You could say there's 5 things great with the puppy. Well, okay, what are the other things that's great with the puppy? This just covers everything, right? Indefinite pronouns, they do not have antecedents, but they can be antecedents. But make sure they agree with the noun, which is probably an amount. So most likely, if you think about everything, there could be an amount out there somewhere. So if this everything is acting as an antecedent, make sure that the amounts agree, because we have plural and we have singular. So we have singular and we have plural antecedents, and we have antecedents that act as both, the same word. And you just need to make sure it agrees in how you write this sentence. What is an antecedent? So the pronoun replaces the noun. The pronoun that you're using that replaced the noun, the antecedent, is that noun. Daniel went to the store. He bought a candy bar. He, which is your pronoun that replaces nouns, is replacing Daniel. Daniel is your antecedent. So the pronoun replaces the noun. The noun that the pronoun replaces is the antecedent. With an indefinite pronoun, just borrow the unknown number or the amount that is out there in the world. It's indefinite. Therefore, they do not have antecedents. We are focusing on the indefinite pronouns that take the singular. Now, each takes the singular, and we did a lesson about each, so I'm not going to really go into that. Each takes the singular, but each can have antecedents. Do you remember how we talked about indefinite pronouns do not have antecedents, but each can have antecedents? Its antecedent needs to be singular. Singular, indefinite pronoun, that means the antecedent needs to be singular. Do you remember what the antecedent is, Paul? Paul went to the store. He bought a candy bar. He's your pronoun. Your antecedent is Paul. Here's another one. I pulled this one out because I think this one can be confusing. No one is an indefinite. But look, it has 2 words. This is the only indefinite that is separated, and it's not combined as one word. So I want you to remember that. Now it takes the singular. Pronouns that come after the indefinite pronoun when being used as an antecedent need to be singular with the following pronoun. So here is what that means. Do you see this? No one puts his laundry away. So what this means, no one, look, it's singular. Now pronouns that come after the indefinite pronoun, look, that's that. The pronoun that's coming after the indefinite pronoun, it needs to be singular. So have you heard of no one puts their laundry away? You can't say that. You can't say no one puts their laundry away. It's considered wrong because no one is singular. So that means your pronoun that follows it has to be singular. Now the proper way to say it, if you want it to be plural, either you can rewrite it or say no one puts his or her laundry away. But you have to do one or the other one. No one puts her laundry away. No one puts his laundry away. Singular, singular. Now, indefinite pronouns, they are the unknown. We don't know who no one is. I'm not singling out someone. No one's putting his laundry away. I'm not singling out someone, right? So it's unknown. We don't know who is doing that. Also, other indefinite pronouns that always take the singular are right here. Now, the ones that take the singular are going to take third person in simple present tense verbs. Now, we don't have to worry about persons with indefinite pronouns except for this particular time. When it's in the simple present tense, it's because it causes problems with the S. Are we going to say no one put his laundry away? It would be considered wrong because put, when you are in third person, is considered plural, right? So that's the only time you would really need to worry about, because we don't worry about first, second, and third person in indefinite pronouns. But make sure you're taking the proper verb when you're in the simple present tense, okay? That's where you're going to have issues with that. Here are all of our singular indefinite pronouns. Each, which we went over, each is pretty easy to remember. It's each, house, it just sounds singular. So each is pretty easy. Either can sound plural, but it's not because you're saying either or. So think of that or in the middle. You can't choose. When you're using or in a sentence, it's one or the other. So you're still taking the singular when you are doing one or the other. Do you want either this ripe tomato or do you want the unripe green tomato? Or maybe we want neither, and that still takes the singular. Now, I feel that this is really important. Now, think of nobody, somebody, everybody, anybody. Think of the body. So my body, one person's body, we're talking about the body, one person. So all of the ones that have body in them, and this is how you spell body. Even though when you put them together, it says nobody, like you're somebody's buddy, but it's spelt like body. And so all of these take the singular. Nobody, somebody, everybody, anybody. Does this sound plural though? So since this sounds plural, we are using this like it's a collective noun. Like the word herd, the herd of elk. How do we use that? It takes the singular, right? Most collective nouns take the singular. There's certain ways that you don't use it as a singular, but most collective nouns take the singular. So that's how we're using this as a singular. Now remember, all the ones with body take the singular. How about this one? Someone, anyone, everyone, no one. Anyone with the number one in there, it's taking the singular. But look, everyone, does that sound plural, boys? It does sound plural, but it's the same thing. You're acting like it's collective. Everyone in this room. So all three of us that's in this room are whatever, blah, 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 okay? And we're acting as a group. So that's how that works. That's the reason why it's considered singular. No one, remember that's two words. And then also with everything and anything, thing is my phone. And then everything would be like the collective. But it's taking the singular, and then we have the word another. We're going to go into the plural. Several break with the heavy snow. Several breaks with the heavy snow. This is incorrect. See how with this word, this is plural. This is a plural indefinite pronoun. So you take the plural verb. So, but this can be confusing. Several breaks with several breaks. That sounds like it could be totally fine. Does it sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it completely sounds fine. But several is plural, so you cannot use the singular verb. That is sitting in the simple present tense. This is the simple present tense verb. But since this is plural, you cannot use this. We use lots of prepositional phrases with indefinite pronouns. And what if I said, several trees break with the heavy snow? That sounds like I should have said that in the first place, but maybe I put in another sentence before and I was talking about trees, and I don't want to use trees here. So that is my subject. But what if I did say several trees? Is several now an adjective? What is several now?
An adjective.
It's an adjective. Guess what it's called? It's called an indefinite adjective. All of these are indefinite adjectives if you want to put it as an adjective. It means the unknown. We don't know. It's several trees. It's not, we don't know which ones, but it's several of them, right? Be careful. If you want it to be used as an adjective, make sure it's talking about its specific noun. But if you want it to be an indefinite pronoun, use it as an indefinite pronoun. Or use it in a noun position. Some people are like, well, I don't need to know what the noun positions are in a sentence. Well, maybe you don't. But if you're writing, it really, really helps you when you know where these pronouns can be sitting. They sit in noun positions because they replace nouns. That's what pronouns do. Pronouns replace nouns. So that's wrong. Few fell in the front yard. Few fells in the front yard. This is wrong because plural takes the plural verb. Plural does not take the singular verb. But listen to this one. This sounds goofy. Few fells in the front yard. This one you can tell that it's wrong and this is incorrect. This one you can't tell that it's incorrect. So be careful. Sometimes you can hear it, sometimes you can't. What if I said few of the trees fell? So then you know what they're talking about. Lots and lots of prepositional phrases are used. But if you want to use it as the pronoun, then you need to use your prepositional phrases or just use them differently. You need to make sure. You could say few trees fell, but then what would it be? If I said few trees fell, you're right, it's an adjective. It's an indefinite adjective meaning the unknown. Now look, these are all the plural ones. Many, ones, few, both, others, several. I think these are easier to remember, the singular ones. So let's go over the plural. Many, ones, few, both, others, several. Let's say it again. Many, ones, few, both, others, several. Let's say it again. Many, ones, few, both, others, several. Those are all the plurals. That means it takes the plural verb. Also, if you're going to put it and use it as an antecedent, you need to make sure that your antecedent is plural. Let's say we use several in this sentence. Let's rewrite this sentence using the plural. So we're going to take this out and we're going to say several, right? Several.
Do not put.
Well, we just take the S off. Several put. I'm just using that as examples where you need to put this plural with the plural with the plural.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. So we want to put the plural with the plural with the plural. Several put, what are we going to use here?
There.
There. Their laundry away. And then these would become plural, right?
Yeah.
These are plural and plural. That's how you do that. Now, I feel that it's easier to do the plural than it is to do the singular. When you're putting your, if you're functioning in third person. Let's focus on prepositional phrases. Prepositional phrases are used often with indefinite pronouns to know who or what they are talking about. So how we talked about several of the trees. Of the trees is the prepositional phrase. So what are we talking about? Right here, there are also indefinite pronouns that can be singular or plural. They can function in both. So you need to know when to use it properly. Here's one of those sentences. All of the songs were taken for the recital, which actually happened to one of my sons. He went to pick a recital piece and the teacher, all of the songs were gone for the recital pieces and he didn't want to play the ones that were left. And so he actually didn't want to play piano after that anymore because he had to learn a song that he didn't enjoy. And just a shout out to you piano teachers. I think it's okay to move from the book and let two kids play the same piece. But anyways, he was never really interested in after that. All of the songs were taken for the recital. Where is your verb in here? Were taken. Well, what were taken? All. We're using the plural verb here. Were is always plural. That means this is plural, but why am I using the plural verb? Where's it coming from? Why did I choose to use the plural verb? Because all can be singular or plural. What did I look at? Or what did I write down?
Because songs is plural.
Exactly, because songs is plural. So this is one of those times, and also with collective nouns, that you do the same thing. You're going to look at your prepositional phrase and you're going to see, oh, well, the songs is plural. I'm going to make this plural. That's what you're going to do. All of the salad is in the fridge. Now, what's your verb here, Paul?
Is.
So we're taking the singular verb with our singular subject, but where did I choose to get the singular verb? Why did I choose a singular verb? What did I look at? Paul, what did I look at?
Salad.
The salad, exactly. This is singular, so I chose the singular verb. Even though, look, they're the same subjects. We used plural here and singular here. Also, some is a word that can be singular or plural. Some of the trees were saved. What verb did I use here? Were saved. Okay, so is it singular or plural? Paul? Is it singular or plural?
Plural.
Nice. We use the plural verb. That means this is the plural subject. What made me decide to choose the plural verb? Exactly. I looked at this prepositional phrase and I looked at what we're talking about, and trees is plural. So I chose the plural verb. So this is one of those ways that you can choose if I'm going to be singular or plural. Some of the tree by the garden is breaking. Daniel, what's your verb? Is breaking. Thanks, Paul. Is it singular or plural? It's singular. Very good. Goes with the singular subject. Now, what is the word that made me choose the singular? Tree. Exactly. Now, by the garden is describing the tree. Right? It's the tree by the garden. But some of the tree is describing some. See how prepositional phrases sit in the attributive position following the noun. Oftentimes that's what happens. Singular or plural. This is what these are. Any, all, more, most, none, some. Let's say them. Any, all, more, most, none, some. Let's say it again. Any, all, more, most, none, some. They can be both. You need to know how to make them singular or plural. So you need to know how to do that. So practice that and see, look that up and study that. Know your singular and your plural forms. It's super important. The question is, why do we use indefinite pronouns? Sometimes the sentence just sounds better. So that's a lot of the reason why we use indefinite pronouns, is because it just sounds better. But just as a reminder, mistakes are often made when choosing the singular or plural verb form. They are used impersonally. So do you think an indefinite pronoun, it's personal?
Yeah.
No, they are used completely impersonally. When you think of someone, do we know who someone is? No, we don't. That means it's impersonal. It's not personal, right? So remember, they're used impersonally. If one of you needs me, reach out through email. So what's our indefinite pronoun in here, boys?
Reach.
One. And then what's your verb?
Reach.
Out.
What's the verb that goes with one?
Needs.
Needs. So, one needs to be what kind of subject? Singular or plural?
Singular.
It needs to be singular. So that means this needs to be singular. Remember, of you is a prepositional phrase, and we're taking one needs me. If one needs me, you're not taking it off of you. If you are taking it off of you, you would say you need me. It would be singular takes the singular. Now this is kind of interesting. Either the siding or shingles, which I just put up in my sunroom, either the siding or shingles should hang in its new location instead of in the garage. What is your indefinite pronoun?
Either.
Either. Either is going to be an indefinite adjective describing either the siding or the shingles. So which do we need to take, the singular or the plural verb? It is plural. This is singular, this is plural, takes the plural verb. So should, once you put should in front of it, you don't have to really worry about, hang is just going to be hang in all different sorts. But let's take should out. What would this need to be? It still is hang. Either siding or shingles hang in its new location. But if we switched these, what would it be? Then it would be hangs if we switched them. Is what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you choose the verb off of the word that's closest to the verb. So if we switch those, since this is singular, then we take the singular verb. All right, everybody, we will see you in the next lesson. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.